Over 500 ethnic groups, speaking more than 1,000 distinct languages and dialects, call Indonesia's more than 13,000 islands home. Across the archipelago, Indigenous peoples have lived in harmony with their land, forests and oceans for centuries. Indigenous peoples in Indonesia comprise approximately 70 million people. AMAN stands for Aliansi Masyarakat Adat Nusantara, the Indigenous Peoples Alliance of the Archipelago. AMAN is a representative organisation that consists of a central governing body with 20 regional provincial chapters, 99 local chapters, 3 wing organisations representing youth, women and lawyers, and 4 autonomous bodies. AMAN represents 15 million individuals from 2,230 indigenous communities across Indonesia. AMAN's mission is to empower, advocate for and mobilize indigenous peoples of the Indonesian archipelago to protect our collective rights and to preserve our cultures and environment for current and future generations. In an era of challenges including poverty, climate change and conflict, AMAN provides innovative solutions by utilising indigenous values, local knowledge and solidarity to promote social justice, ecological sustainability and human welfare. Indigenous knowledge is a strong enabler of sustainable development. This and Indonesia's continued transition to representative, democratic government supports the recognition of indigenous peoples' rights. This shift cannot come at a more critical time. This lack of protection of indigenous rights hurts the Indonesian and global community. For all citizens, the violation of indigenous rights leads to severely degraded environments and a loss of resources for future generations. For indigenous peoples, landlessness means being subject to state-sanctioned violence, evicting them from their homeland and a loss of heritage, culture and way of life, the core of our self-definition and existence. In 2013, the Constitutional Court made ruling number 35, legally defining customary forest as forests inhabited by indigenous peoples, recognising and returning rights over these forests to indigenous peoples. This ruling affects the preservation of at least 40 million hectares of forest, or 30% of Indonesia's total remaining forest. It is an immense achievement for indigenous peoples whose rights to own and manage their territories have been denied for decades. AMAN is working to make sure the ruling translates to reality on the ground. Since the late 1990s, AMAN has been driving a community mapping initiative across Indonesia. Maps are key in defining areas under contestation and asserting indigenous rights. The government has also recently embarked on creating a single map, agreed upon by all government agencies, of Indonesia's forest area. Integrating maps of indigenous territories is a key part of the government initiative to develop the One Map. Up to 6.9 million hectares of indigenous territories have been mapped, and 2.4 million hectares has already been included in the One Map. AMAN aims to complete mapping of at least 40 million hectares of indigenous territories by 2022. AMAN works to strengthen the economies of indigenous communities based on sustainable management of the particular natural and cultural resources of specific communities. AMAN also works to strengthen women through economic empowerment, such as income generating, in accordance with indigenous knowledge. Around 1/3 Indonesians have no access to electricity. Most of them are indigenous peoples. AMAN has a renewable energy program to enable indigenous peoples to be energy sufficient off-grid. AMAN uses mass media, especially community radio, to raise awareness on indigenous peoples' rights and bring indigenous issues to the fore. A draft bill on the recognition and protection of the rights of indigenous peoples is undergoing review in the House of Representatives, and AMAN continues to track its progress. AMAN is promoting the increased participation of indigenous peoples in representative government and has successfully supported 25 indigenous legislators elected to represent the rights of indigenous peoples. AMAN publicly endorsed incoming President Joko Widodo during the recent presidential elections. AMAN will continue to support the new president to realise the promises for indigenous peoples' rights in Indonesia. Empowered citizens are better able to contribute to the development of our country for a better Indonesia and a better world. AMAN continues to bring solutions forward for a world where the indigenous peoples of the archipelago and our brothers and sisters across the world are assured of our fundamental rights, sovereignty, prosperity and dignity.